10-9-8-7-6-5-4-3-2-1.
Hello, my name is Mo Hill. I'm running for mayor of Toms River on the Republican ticket, row A. You can count on me to preserve the quality of life in Toms River. We're going to look to preserve open space in Toms River. We're also going to strictly enforce all our building and zoning codes. And we're going to look to keep taxes low with shared services and increased efficiencies in Town Hall.
You ready?
You're live.
Good evening. My name is Mo Hill. I'm running for mayor of Toms River in this November's election. I'm glad you're with us this evening. I'm going to start off. I'd like to talk a little bit about our Veterans Park with the girls' softball park. We bought that property. It's the Epstein Farm property. We bought that back in the early 2010. We started breaking ground in 2011. We've got 4 fields there. They're all positioned so that the sun field is the outfield. Now, what do I mean by that? It means the backstop is on the west side and the outfield is on the east side, so that you have sun in the fielder's eyes, not in the ball player's eyes. We've got 4 official girls softball fields. We've got 1 tot field in the center, a t-ball field, and we have a baseball themed park also with a walking park. Now, the reason I'm talking about that tonight is we just recently increased our parking area there. We've had a very popular area, and it's been well used by the public, so we added more parking spaces. And if you go on our website, or if you go to the Toms River Engineers on YouTube, there's a video of a drone flying over the park. We've got professional or tournament-style lighting there, but the good news is I'd like to see us expand in our capital program next year and buy 4 electronic scoreboards. I'm going to reach out to the community. We might be able to get some people to donate them. We also want to increase the seating behind the softball fields and behind the backstop, so that our goal is that we'd like to have this park offered for NJSIAA Girls Softball State Championships. It's a beautiful facility. We want to encourage use in it. And we're waiting for our first question right now. So do we have a question up or not? I can move to another topic. Okay. Last night at our council meeting, I introduced a resolution opposing S2425 and A3851. Now, what is this legislation? I had a number of calls from concerned senior citizens and homeowners associations. This bill would give Trenton, take away some of the autonomy of the local homeowner associations and leave that with Trenton. They were not comfortable with that, and I don't blame them based on Trenton's history of how the Ocean County's been treated. All you have to do is look at the transportation infrastructure. Route 9 and Route 70 are still single-lane highways. Not much improvement since they were first paved for the first horseless carriages. Right now, Route 9 is in very bad shape. It's deteriorating. The state has made some changes on left-hand turning lanes, but they haven't repaved it. And right now, it's starting to fail. From the state program, what we've heard is that they won't start that project till 2022, and it won't be completed until 2024. Personally, I don't think the road's going to last another 2 years. Add to that Route 70, which is our main east-west corridor to Philadelphia area. It's 2 lanes, almost the entire length of Ocean County. The only place we have 4 lanes is when you're near the Parkway. If you look at the Garden State Parkway, most of the state roads that are dualized and have dividers are basically roads that go from the Garden State Parkway to the beachfront. You've got 37, you've got 72, you've got Route 70. They're all the divided highways. If they just go from the beachfront, from the Garden State Parkway rather, to the beachfront. The resolution that we introduced last night, as I said, was opposing Trenton's taking some of the autonomy of the homeowners associations. So far, our 10th legislative district Senator Holsapple has voted against it, and also Assemblyman McGuckin and Wolf will also be voting against that bill. It has passed in the Senate. It's still to be introduced in the Assembly. I'd like to move on now to talk a little bit about our schools. As you know, the school funding has been a problem in Ocean County, both from BRIC and from Toms River. Right now, I know some of the students in BRIC have increased classes, as does Toms River. We had 2 protest marches. One was in coordination with the governor's address. That was a very large protest attended by a lot of the students from the schools that were impacted. Toms River, BRIC had very good turnouts. Again, those are 2 of the districts probably most heavily hit. Toms River, as you know, lost approximately $4 million in funding. They had to lay off 77 staff. Now, where does that impact us? It impacts us in the classroom. First of all, you're going to see bigger classroom sizes. It also impacts us in the extracurricular activities, the sports, the clubs. These are important. With the opioid epidemic that we have in Ocean County, it's critical that we have activities for our children after school. Sports is very important in the development of a child, and also in setting up a health program for life. The more athletic you are, the more health you're going to have, the better life you're going to lead. Again, we've had issues with the state funding. The governor right now has a package, an emergency aid package on his desk for about $2.5 million, I'm told. It's been sitting there since the beginning of school. We're now going into our third, fourth week of school, and there's been no activity. It would be nice to have this in the budget at the beginning of the year, as we would be able to bring on some of that staff that was laid off. Also, I was very interested in the referendum that we have. I have 3 grandchildren in the school system. I have a daughter who's a teacher. There was a lot of deterioration in our schools. I attended the meeting with my daughter's school at Westover Elementary, and also the final one at Toms River South. I supported that referendum. It was expensive, but I think we need to do that. If we don't have a good school system, we lose a lot. Our community starts to deteriorate. So it's important that we have that funding. Right now, we've got our first question up. Will you go on record to promise us that if elected, you will, the 10-acre requirement will stay for religious buildings? 10-acre requirements for schools and religious houses of worship. Right now, when the issue came up back in 2009, we did an analysis of the churches in the area. Most of the churches some of them range from as many as St. Luke's, which is on 22 acres, to B'nai Israel, which is on 12. Some of them have 7 or 8. The average was somewhere around 8.5. We had to factor into that the CAFRA restrictions, which only allow you to develop 30% of the property. Now, what do I mean by CAFRA, and what do I mean by the restrictions on development? You can only have 30% impervious coverage. So if you have a 10-acre parcel, that gives you 3 acres that you can develop. That includes the house of worship, any classrooms that you might have. It also includes sidewalks, curbing, and driveways. Right now, I see no reason to reduce that based on the populations that we have. We have several religious communities that are growing in that area. I'll give you 2 examples. We have 2 Muslim mosques, and because they're on less than 10 acres of property, they can't grow anymore. We have a mosque on Whitesville Road. I believe it's called the Central Jersey Muslim Society. They are on about 6.5 acres. I was out there for a Ramadan service last year, and they're crowded. They've already put a 2nd story on their building. They really can't go up anymore, so they're hamstrung. And they were looking to expand the property, and because they're in a CAFRA zone and they can only build on 30% impervious coverage, they're faced with buying properties in the vicinity, and they're around their house of worship. So we thought 10 acres was about right, and we don't at this point see much need for change. You always are reevaluating these situations, but right now 10 acres seems to be at the right, as I said, because you can wind up developing 3 acres. Do we have another question? Okay. What do you say to homeowners who have their bags packed or ready to leave for fear of... I think this question about Toms River becoming Lakewood becomes a very emotional issue for a lot of people. The area out in the northern area of Toms River, northern district of Toms River, is zoned for larger lots. They're acre lots, they're half-acre lots, they're third-acre lots. There isn't much multifamily housing. The only multifamily housing out there are affordable housing projects. That's Gabriel's Run, it's Riverwood Chase, it's those type of developments. We have Cornerstone Commons, which is 100% senior project. We've got Green Meadows out there. We've got Project Freedom. Those are off of Massachusetts, Cox Crow in that area. But if you go on to the roads, North Maple, Hickory, Cox Crow Road, Old Freehold Road, those are all acre lots. There's not going to be overdevelopment. You can't put a 2-family house in those areas. You can only build a single-family dwelling. So in most cases, you've got a fairly large home on about an acre of land. And most of the residents out there, I think, are comfortable with that. I personally live off of Silverton Road. I have neighbors who have moved in. Again, I'm assuming with the Lakewood question that they're talking about Orthodox. I have several Orthodox neighbors. I get along very well with them. They maintain their property. They're good neighbors. They contribute to the community, and I don't think we're going to become a situation in Lakewood with the crowding. The tax situation is some that we've had a very stable tax rate over the last 3 years. In fact, we've had no increase in our municipal tax rate at all. So I'm waiting. We have another question coming up with the Justice Department at 10 acres of zoning. Right now, we got notification in late 2018 that the Justice Department was conducting an investigation into our zoning ordinances. In January, we sent a package to them with our zoning ordinances and the information they requested. We haven't heard much back in response. As a matter of fact, at our last meeting 2 weeks ago, I asked our Township Attorney, Anthony Merlino, if he had had any response to the documents we had sent to the Department of Justice, and he said no. We have no input. Again, if we're going to be talking with them, it would be nice if they gave us some input on our zoning. Like I said, right now it's 10 acres. I don't know what they're looking for, and I think to make suggestions that we're going to reduce zoning, there had been some talk about reducing it, but until we hear from the Department of Justice on the packages we've submitted to them and what they're looking for, and we have a discussion with them, I think it's premature to suggest that we're going to cut from 10 to 7 acres. We want input from them. They also don't have a good understanding of CAFRA regulations from New Jersey. They don't understand that. When we've talked to them in the past, they have no idea of what CAFRA means. We keep telling them you can only build on 30% of the land, but they don't get it. They think you should be able to build on 90% of the land or almost fill up the whole lot, and that's just not the situation out there. What is Toms River doing for veterans? Well, we have a proposal in for the Veterans Administration. They're looking at 3 properties, one in Brick, one in Lakewood, an industrial park, and one in Toms River. I'm excited about the one in Toms River. I hope it gets chosen. That's up in the air. We've been told it won't be official until the beginning of October. There are a lot of positives in that area we have in Toms River. They're looking to expand to about 70 or 80,000 square feet. The facility in Brick currently is about 20,000 square feet. Why do I say the Toms River site has advantages over others? The VA a lot of times looks to locate these VA treatment facilities or medical facilities in areas where there are other facilities that the veterans can use. Right next to this property, adjacent to this property, is John Doherty, who's our veterans coordinator in Toms River, and in Ocean County, rather. He's the Veterans Service Bureau commander. So he's located right next door. We also have all our social services from the county are located in that area. They're in the process of building a new building. On either side, you've got, across the street from this, you have the largest branch of TD Bank in Ocean County. Right down the street, you have the main branch of Ocean First. Behind this property on Codina Avenue, you have Seacourt Pavilion, which has a cinema. It has parking facilities. It also has restaurants and shopping. And then right across the road from that, you have the Ocean County Mall. In addition to that, it's a signalized divided highway, Hooper Avenue. We've also have NJ Transit has bus service that goes right down Hooper Avenue. So if you have veterans who can't travel, they can use public transportation. But the nice part about this site is it would be one-stop shopping for the veterans. In addition to that, it means jobs for our people. If you're going to quadruple the size of this, we're going to have more healthcare professionals, more ancillary staff. So it's going to be a boon for the economy. And also, these buildings will be leased buildings, so they will be paying taxes on them. They're not going to be owned by the government. The government's going to be leasing these facilities. We've also had some initial discussion about the Toms River Post Office moving out to that area behind that, which would be more centrally located. As you know, the Toms River Post Office is located downtown, almost on the Toms River South border. For them to come up and do delivery in the northern section of town can take them half hour, 45 minutes. If they're located at Hooper and Codina, they're more centrally located. Plus, it would allow the residents of the town to be at a more centrally located area for the township. Now, I've got a question here about illegal basements and attic apartments. Any any illegal basements, if you have any question at all, if a facility or there's an illegal basement or an inappropriate apartment or the house is being used as a two-family house, all you have to do is call to the code enforcement people down at town hall. Our code enforcement officers will go out, investigate the area, they'll make a report back to the mayor and council, and action is taken. If it's an illegal basement, it's an illegal attic that's not been properly permitted, they'll be issued a notice of violation. They'll have time to correct that. In other words, if it's an illegal apartment, they'll have to remove the dwelling space and clean up. Same thing with the attic. If there's been no response, they get another notice of violation 2 weeks later, and there's also a court case if they don't respond to that. So we're aggressive with our code enforcement issues. We take that seriously. Over the years, we have increased our code enforcement staff. We've also instituted a vacant property ordinance, which we charge people if they don't have a house that's being marketed or being sold. There's a $1,000 fine for the first year. If it stays on the rolls as vacant, it's $2,000. It goes up $1,000 each year to $3,000, $4,000, and $5,000. Some of that money is used to offset our code enforcement costs, but the main purpose is we want these buildings to be rehabbed, remarketed, and we want people living in them. We don't want them sitting idle. So do we have another question coming up? You want to take a break? We're going to go to break. We'll look forward to some more questions. Again, I thank you for your interest in the program, and we'll see you in a few minutes. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jeanette Hoffman. I am here with Councilman Mo Hill, who's running for mayor of Toms River. Mo, thank you so much for having us here in your home today.
Well, thank you very much for coming.
Yeah, well, congratulations on your primary election victory. That was quite a turnout.
Yes, it was. It was. We had 7,500 people turn out to vote for the mayor and council, and that was over 2,000 more votes than the upper part of the ticket. So there was a lot of interest in the race this year. There were 3 candidates, and we're very happy we won.
Yeah,
and the whole slate won.
Yeah, and you won in very diverse parts of the community. So that's really exciting for you, I'm sure.
We kind of won all over. We won on the beachfront. We won the northern part. We won downtown. So yes, it was rewarding to see that the support was spread out throughout the whole town, not concentrated in one area.
Now tell me a little bit about yourself and about your background. And I know you've served on council for 4 terms, so that's 16 years. That's quite a record.
Yeah, it is, and I'm happy to have served. I enjoyed serving my community. I also served in the Navy for 35 years. I'm a lifetime resident of Ocean County. I went through the school system here, went through Rutgers, went through the University of Medicine and Dentistry, and then I joined the Navy when I was a freshman in dental school. Went on active duty for 2 years, and then spent a lot of time in the reserves, and then I got recalled for 3 months during Desert Storm, and retired in 2005 as Rear Admiral Upper Half. That's the highest rank you can get promoted to as an officer because it's board selected. Every promotion above that, 3-star and 4-star, just by the position you hold. So the only permanent rank is 08, Rear Admiral or Major General. So I was very happy to make that promotion, and you don't get there without displaying leadership skills and good judgment.
Can you address the issue of taxes in Toms River?
But for the last 3 years, we haven't had an increase, and that's been difficult in this economic environment. As we said, the school system has already suffered a $2.5 or $2.7 million loss this year. Next year, it's supposed to go up to $4 million. So, it's going to be difficult for them to manage their finances. We've been lucky so far to be able to keep that tax rate. We're going to strive, like I said, with the increased efficiencies. If we change over the LED bulbs, if we get this energy from the solar farm credits, that'll pay down some of our electric bills. And we're going to look at it, like I said, increased efficiencies throughout the township, so that we can partner with other towns in the county and probably do shared services. Hopefully, keep costs down of the government.
All right, here we go. Welcome back. I'd like to talk about a little lighter subject right now. As you know, coming up this Thanksgiving will be the 100th anniversary of the oldest rivalry in the Jersey Shore, the Lakewood Piners and the Toms River Indians. I played in my final high school game was in 1964. I played for the Lakewood Piners. We played down here in Toms River. It's always been a very exciting game, and it's meant a lot to both towns, Toms River and Lakewood. My senior year, we were going in for an undefeated season. We had a very good team. Our team was well balanced. The two half, for example, we had a right halfback and a left halfback, Billy Riva and Mel Sharp. They wound up tied for the county scoring title with 11 touchdowns each. During that season, we played Jackson. They had a young team. They only had juniors. We had a very experienced team. We beat them 59-0, but when I looked at the box score the next day, nobody scored more than one touchdown. If you scored a touchdown, you came out. That was our coach's philosophy. If I learned anything from Coach Brandt, it was about teamwork and how to distribute the load with the team. You never had one person taking the full brunt of it. So this year, the game is going to be played at Toms River South Field. As you know, we just put down a new field. The township or the school board put a new field in. The other fields had been done as a partnership between the township and the school board. They were starting to age out. They were 10 to 15 years old. Part of that referendum put the new fields there. The new question's up, what am I going to do to stop overdevelopment? We've been very aggressive with purchasing open space. I'll go into this a little later about the total, but in the last 2 years, we've purchased almost 70 acres of open space. We purchased the Coxcrow horse farm. That's the last horse farm in Toms River. We purchased the Gutman farm, which is about 35 acres. Boynton property on Route 9, which is about another 9 to 10. And the Huppert property, which is, again, another 9 to 10 acres. Just recently, the county partnered and they purchased the Fleischer Farm, which is 10 acres off of New Hampshire. It's pristine land. It used to be a horse farm, and that will be closed probably in the near future. The horse farm is interesting. We've had some discussions with Chariot Riders. I think I talked a little bit about this possibly last time. That's a group out in Jackson, Manchester area. They work with handicapped children, special needs, but they have expressed an interest in coming and doing a public-private partnership with us and running the facility. It does need some work. I am told that the arena is in very good shape, but some of the buildings need some attention. There was a house on the property where the original owner of the horse farm lived. That needs major renovations on the inside. But looking forward, I think that has real potential. We're always looking for ways to purchase open space properties. If you have any property that you think we might be interested in, bring it forward to us. Right now in Ortley Beach, we're in discussions with the surf club, people that own the surf club. As you know, during Sandy, the surf club was destroyed. We're looking at purchasing the beachfront and the parking lot behind the beach. We've been negotiating with them. There's some disagreement over the price. We have an appraisal. The state has an appraisal. Our two appraisals with the state and local are very close. I looked at the appraisal from 2012 prior to Sandy, and if you factor out the buildings, the land was worth about $7.9 million. Now bear in mind that back then, that land was owned to the high water line. That's different now. With the beach replenishment, we literally own a lot of the beachfront near the water because the beach has been expanded, almost probably doubled or almost tripled in size. So the amount of land that the family that owned the surf club now controls is probably not worth the $7.9 million. And we put an offer in that we think is reasonable. We're still negotiating. The state is partnering with us on Blue Acres. So it's the perfect time to buy this, and we hope that the owners of the property will come to the table and be reasonable, and we'll be able to purchase that property. It's about the last large property in Ortley Beach. As you know, the other property is the old OCUA pumping station. We're constantly requesting that they open that up for resident use. We've had some resistance, but we'll continue to press forward on both of those issues. I also have a question coming up now. What can you tell us about the status of the Red Carpet Inn? As you know, the Red Carpet Inn has been demolished. Right now, if you go out there, you have a beautiful view of the Toms River. That area has been repaved for additional parking. We've also put grass seed down. Right now, it's going to stay as a park. As we go forward, we're looking at redevelopment downtown. The goal would be to keep that as a park. In the future, I could see a pedestrian walkway over 166, where you would be able literally to go from the old red carpet in site, which if it stays a park would be fine. We can go over to Huddy Park. We're also looking, as you know, we've had discussions with the Capodagi Group about redeveloping downtown. They have developed properties in county seats. We were up to Hackensack to see 2 projects they have up there. They have smaller apartment size. They range from 700 to 800 for a single bedroom apartment to maybe 1,000 for a 2-bedroom. So their demographic that they look for are millennials, young millennial families, and empty nesters and senior citizens. They have experience in developing properties near a transportation center. And what do I mean by transportation center? Obviously, it can be a railroad, it can be a bus terminal. We don't have a railroad in Ocean County unless you live in Bayhead or Point Pleasant. So what we have is we have the New Jersey Transit bus station. So they have, in their demographic studies, this group, the millennial group and the senior citizens, like to be near a transportation center so they can go into New York City, take a local line up to Freehold if they want, that type of thing. But we're also looking to get people to live downtown. The problem we have is that a lot of people exit downtown at 4:30 and they're not there to use the facilities downtown and also to stimulate growth. We can see if we get people moving downtown, we'd see an increase in restaurant activity, you'd see an increase in small boutique shops, and that's what we're looking for. We're not looking for overdevelopment downtown, we're looking for sensible development. These projects by Capodagi Group are being fleshed out now. There are requests that we have for them to include into their projects. They're going to come back to us with a proposal that will be fully vetted with the public. Anything wants to be changed, you can change it. But I'm excited about downtown Toms River. When I was in high school, downtown Toms River was very vibrant. Everything goes through changes. As the malls came along, the downtown suffered. Now the malls are suffering and the move is back into downtown. And we need to do that in a sensible, logical way. And we think we're headed in that right path. Again, if the post office moves out to the site in Caudina, that's another whole block of area that can be open for restaurants, more shops, maybe a couple of more apartments. There is nothing, let me assure you, nothing that includes a 10-story building. The original was a computer generated to show a number of things that could be done, but we're not at least interested in 10-story building. We want to keep it down to several floors and that's it. We're about to run out of time. I want to thank you for watching tonight, and please, we'll be back next week. I appreciate your questions. I enjoy the dialogue. Thank you very much, and good night.